Keefe.
And I'm Shay Thompson, and this is Cougar News Now.
Today I thought we would explore some ideas that we've seen on the national news. If you watch the news, many people saw this exchange between President Trump and the CNN
It
report.
happened a few days ago, and
They're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of
you know
miles
what?
away.
I
That's
think
not an
you
invasion.
should, honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN,
All right.
and if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask,
much
if
better.
I may
Okay,
ask
that's
one other
enough.
question, Mr. President, if I may ask
Peter,
one
go
other
ahead.
question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President, I
That's
was going
enough.
to ask one of the other folks. have
That's
had-
enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse
President,
me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
that you
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming down?
investigation because it's a hoax.
Are you-
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President,
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN.
That some news channels unfairly report on Trump and other stories in this kind of exchange is understandable. We thought we could catch up on some students and staff on the issue on media.
Midterms happened earlier this month. Many media sites broadcasted different opinions in different light. We asked students at BC if this was appropriate.
I do believe so. I believe that some things are blown out of proportion, and when one thing's said on the internet, even if it's false or true, it could get spread really fast like wildfire, you know.
I do think some people are misrepresented because their opinions are spoken as if it's coming from them. But like when it comes to political things, no, I don't, because people have the right to speak what they're saying about those people if they are, being represented.
Yeah, I think everybody misrepresents themselves in some way. They're not always going to put the best view of themselves. They're only going to put their best picture, but it doesn't show them at their lows or the highs, or some people are only going to show their lows. I believe so, specifically like with politics, say like you have the Republican side and the conservatives, the liberal and democratic side will attack them, and then vice versa. Like it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, I mean, some people intentionally attack people because they think that they can voice what they want to say, but they're attacking those people by saying what they want.
Sometimes, like, yeah, there's a lot of hate speech on social media, and it's gonna happen. But I don't think like a certain group's necessarily attacked. For example, like if I get on Twitter or something, I'll see people from either sides of the political agenda just tweeting messed up things about each other's opinions and stuff, and then like CNN and Fox. I don't really watch the news that much, but it's because it's all baloney. Everything's made up these days. It's fake news.
So a lot of things like about religion, people who believe like political parties, or someone believes in abortion, some people don't, things like that.
So like in the Brett Kavanaugh case, if that's like a good example, there's bias based on what political party you're with. So like Republicans are gonna have one side, and then liberals are gonna have another side. Some long-term effects. I mean, say someone tweets something that is totally wrong. People will view that person in a different manner, even though that's the opposite of who they are. I guess, for example, this whole Brett Kavanaugh thing, I don't want to bring that up, but like, he didn't do something, and then people say he did, and then people view himself and his family in a whole other way, and that's just wrong. It's terrible.
And give people the wrong idea. And let's say you have younger people trying to learn about things and they're given the wrong ideas and they're representing the wrong things.
I think some people can like feel targeted. I think feel like depressed or sad because there's bias in social media against them. People want their opinion out there, and they want their point across. They want what's best for them, so they make up lies and biases, and their agenda's more apparent.
Say it again?
Why do you think media bias happens?
Because freedom of speech, I guess. People want to say what they want to say, and it just happens sometimes.
happens because, I mean, it's in the question, bias. People have bias towards other people, and so it's always going to be out there. I don't really know. There's not like, you can make a punishment. There's free speech, even though it's hateful and terrible, but we just got to teach people better to be better people.
By people just being factual instead of just giving their opinions, because facts are what opinions are based off of.
I don't think it can be resolved because there's always going to be like hate in the world.
Whether you agree or not, consequences have been all over the news. Some say that the midterm elections were a result of Trump's agenda. And even before that, there was a divide among the nation on what the consequences should be for Brett Kavanaugh, who was a Supreme Court justice nominee that was accused of assault in high school. We thought we would talk to some Bullitt Central students and staff regarding appropriate consequences. Consequences play a huge role in the life of high school students. Some believe that these consequences are too harsh, and others believe that they're not harsh enough. Today I'll be interviewing students and teachers here at BC to see what they think. So, do you think consequences in high school are appropriate?
Yes. I think that kids need punishment because like, you can't just let people get away with stuff, but I feel like some of the ways that we deal with it, like I feel like ISAP's not very effective because you're just taking the kids who make bad decisions and you're secluding them in a room with other kids that make bad decisions, and all you're doing is isolating the problem, you're not solving the problem. So I feel like there has to be better methods to consequence.
Yes, I do.
I think they could be a little bit more stern with certain things. More suspension days than what they actually have.
That is a really complicated question. So in terms of what consequences students should face for various actions, I think they're usually appropriate insofar as this is supposed to be sort of training for the real world.
Do you think that the consequences of bad behavior in society are appropriate?
Yes.
To an extent, it depends
On what?
on what you did.
For certain people, they, like celebrities can do things and not get any backlash for it, but like a normal person could do something and they get tons of backlash for it. So no.
Do you think that consequences of bad behavior today are worse than those of the past?
No, I mean, if we're talking about the past, like a couple hundred years ago, sure, no one's getting burned at the stake these days in the United States of America.
Yes.
Not really. I think if, like, way long ago, they used to kill people just for robbing stores.
I'm gonna say maybe. I think we have a lot more problems as a community and a society, and back then it was just a smaller community.
Do you think you should be held accountable for bad decisions like 5 years after they happen?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just depends on how severe it is. Like, I feel like karma always comes around and gets someone one way or another. It might not be instant, but I feel like in 5 years, like, it could hit them 10 times harder.
No.
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 It depends on what those bad decisions were. I mean, if you murdered someone or you raped someone, yes, absolutely. You still need to be punished in some way or reformed or held accountable for that.
What about like 10 years after they've happened?
10 years? I don't know. I feel like sometimes there just has to be a point where it's like you have to learn how to forgive and forgive. And I know that some crimes are really bad and some actions are really bad, but like 10 years, unless you did something really horrible, sometimes you just gotta learn to let go and move on.
Again, I think it really depends on the severity of the crime and also the frequency at that level. If we're talking 10, 15, 20 years out from a crime, but it's someone who habitually, like, Brett Kavanaugh's a good example, or Harvey Weinstein, right? He consistently sexually assaulted women over decades. So he should absolutely be held accountable and shouldn't be in that position anymore.
No.
No.
Do you think that you can make up for crimes that you've committed like as a teenager, and if so, how?
No, and because you did the consequences, like if you did it, then you can't make up for it.
Yeah, community service.
Absolutely. I think that anyone has the ability to rehabilitate. It doesn't matter if you're a teenager. Anyone who commits crimes, they have a chance for redemption. It really just becomes in bettering yourself as a person, making what's wrong right. the first step to making things right whenever you commit a crime is fessing up to it and admitting that you're wrong. That's what a lot of people have a hard time facing, is the challenge of admitting that they're wrong. No one wants to think that they're doing these bad things, but once you actually have realization that yes, I'm doing the wrong thing, that's the first step in redeeming yourself, and then you can do things and you can better yourself in the community. You can always bounce back.
Yes, by like changing your life around, proving people wrong that you're not the person you were when you were a teenager.
Yes, I absolutely do think that, and I think for the vast majority of crimes that is the case.
In conclusion, there are many mixed opinions on consequences in today's world.